Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition, to another installment of Fade to Black. I am your host, Donald Monte Morris. As you can see, I'm here by myself. But I'm going to be all right, y'all. The host is going to hold it down. So my panel, they're going to probably be coming in a little bit later. So don't expect me to do this all by myself, but you know. But other than that, you already know the deal. Let's get started. Let's get to our opening statements. So now for our opening statements for me. Bubba Wallace. First, let me go ahead and give you, ladies and gentlemen, opening statements. Beach Johnson, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going ahead and take this down. I'm about to get ready to get started.
What's up?
Like I say, now or never. What's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, intelligent and ignorant minds of all levels.
I know he was going to leave me hanging too long, so.
Oh, no. You know, you don't have actual children, but you have pet. Unfortunately, you got to actually start using that term, fur babies. I fucking hate it. I hate it. What a laugh. I have about roughly 80-pound fur baby. Yeah.
Everybody got those situations, got those issues, got those problems. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump back in my opening statement. So after myself, y'all already know it's going to be Beast Johnson. So I'm going to let him take a back seat. So let me continue what I was saying. So first and foremost, for anybody who been with me the long way or people who just been tuning into the show, one thing I am is a NASCAR fan, a diehard NASCAR fan. It started all the way back in, I would say, 1997, 1998 when I first got started in NASCAR. My first favorite driver was Mark Martin, who was driving the number 6 Roush Racing Ford at the time. And then I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and depart from my father. And I started liking Jack Burton, who just drove the number 99 Jack Roush Ford. And then my love just grew and grew and grew, even through the bad times of NASCAR. My favorite driver right now is Brad Keselowski, and obviously Bubba Wallace, even though he drives a raggedy Chevrolet. So this is just not me liking NASCAR because Bubba Wallace happens to be a black driver in the series, and he had this happen. Well, I won't say this issue happened to him or him just starting to say Black Lives Matter. No. Bubba Wallace, since Wendell Scott, for all y'all history buffs, look it up. Wendell Scott was the very first African-American driver to win a race in Jacksonville, Florida. At that time, NASCAR was deeply racist with a lot of Confederate flags out there, for one. And he was the only one after winning a race to race 2 more laps and the race to be given to somebody else. And then they waited after everybody left to finally award him a trophy, but gave him half the purse. So Bubba Wallace is not the first and only NASCAR driver. I praise Bubba Wallace as a LeBron James, I would say a LeBron James. But Wendell Scott is like MJ, even though he got that one win, but he paved the way for guys like Bill Lester, Willie T. Riggs. Look him up. But Bubba Wallace did what the others after Wendell Scott couldn't do. Make an impact and win races. For him, in a white-dominated sport, to stand on his own 2 feet and pretend not to say this is not happening to my people because, you know, I made it. Because that's the biggest problem in the black community. When we make it, making millions of dollars, we supposed to forget that we are African, that, you know, a cop can pull us over and or people can, white people will remind us, that we just niggas. I said it, niggas. So when all y'all sitting there saying, well, you know, politics and sports shouldn't mix. I'm sorry. Politics is in everything we do. I predicted this years ago. But off that prediction, for you to say that is very disingenuous. You prove the point of just because you have 10 black friends that it doesn't make you a racist. You fall into that category. Let's worry about sports. If that don't affect you, why doesn't you don't see that many black coaches? You don't see no many black owners. How about this? You don't even see that much black businesses as primary sponsors in these sports organizations. If that don't rub you the wrong way, you are part of the problem. And I can care less how many times you go out with your homies, your homeboys, or how many times they let you say the N-word. That still does not take you away that you're the problem. Which lead me back to Bubba Wallace. So a noose was found in his garage, which come to find out the FBI did their due diligence, they did their job. They said that it was not related to hate crime. And here come the white conservatives and all those Confederate flag toting NASCAR fans, well, ex-NASCAR fans sitting there laughing it up, sitting there saying this is Jussie Smollett 3.0. Let me tell y'all something. What NASCAR have done has exposed you. Exposed you, the racist, closed-minded individuals that you are. The laughter is on, the laughter's at you. And even Bubba Wallace himself in this story, because I see stories like Breitbart sitting there saying that, oh, it's an embarrassment. No, it's not an embarrassment. Because Bubba Wallace, once again, I even put this post on my Facebook. Jamela Hill literally saying in the reports that it was a crew member. It was a NASCAR official that found it. It was not Bubba Wallace. And even if it was Bubba Wallace, I'm happy that NASCAR stepped up and did what they had to do. Lie, everybody says it's all political. It's all political. Really? Really me this, Batman. If it was one of your black friends that had this happen to him, would you be saying the same thing? No, you probably would say, oh, I would help them out and all that stuff. What makes you a hypocrite? A complete hypocrite. Because you can't do to one thing, you can't do without the other. You just can't sit there and say, I would do it for this person, but if it happens to this person, I could care less. That makes you a hypocrite. Keep the same energy. It does not shame all those NASCAR drivers for pushing that man's car down pit road, showing unity. That right there just shows how bigot the people that think this just explode in their faces make them look even more stupid and dumb and racist, and that they are part of America's problems of what we have today. That's all it proved. I'm happy that it found out that it was part of the door or whatever, that it wasn't as bad as people thought it was. The main part is NASCAR jumped on it, got the proper authorities in on it, case closed. Now we can get back to racing. That's it. Y'all the ones that's making it into something that is not, which proved the point, like I said earlier, how bigoted, closed-minded, and racist that y'all are. And that NASCAR is turning a new leaf, which it should have been done decades ago. And I'm happy for them. Because the old Confederate flag toting Southerner is probably mad, but so be it. There's always other markets out there. Black coaches have proven to make little, like making Gucci famous, Nike famous. Anything we touch, let's be for real. Anything we touch, anything we wear, anything we turn to a slogan, it turns into a $1 billion business. Why do you think the NBA and the NFL is so popular? Think about it. They know who to sell it to and knowing who's going to buy it in bulk. So imagine with those fans that came out to Talladega, they went to their very first NASCAR race, and not to mention it was a pretty good damn race, by the way. They just gained new fans in a black market. You think they need your money? You think just because you're going to stop watching NASCAR is going to die? You got another thing coming. Because if NASCAR market it right, NASCAR could have a big boom, much more than they did back in the 2000s, where they go after a new market. So all of this backlash, I wouldn't even consider a backlash. This could be something new. It's going to be something new. But this could be something that NASCAR been needing for a long, long time. And if they play it right, it's going to bring in the dividends. And soon, you won't only see LeBron James jerseys or even Lamar Jackson jerseys or Dak Prescott jerseys. You will soon start to see Chase Elliott racing coats, Ryan Blaney's coats, and most of all, Bubba Wallace, number 43 hats. All in the hood. Just keeping it real. And enough of me. Beast Johnson, yeah.
Well, I guess I'm gonna speak on a little bit what he spoke on as well. Want to speak about acknowledgement and response, an appropriate response, like organizations like NASCAR, organizations like Activision and Nickelodeon, who have taken it to the effect of actually taking 8 minutes and 42 seconds out of their programming or their revenue in respect and in honor of what happened. Regardless of how they feel, either way, or they are smart enough, they're conscious enough, and they're human enough to acknowledge that this shit was wrong and we really need to step up and say something, because these are people. There are consumers, but they're people. At the end of the day, nobody deserves to die like that, especially over trivial issues. So I love how these companies are accepting that this is a truth out here and accepting that it needs to be spoken on and acknowledging the tragedy of it, all while not wholeheartedly saying I'm with it or against it. Because at the end of the day, they about the dollar. But not saying anything and not stepping up and acknowledging it is only going to hurt your dividends. As Mr. Almonte said, we black folk, we got the Midas touch. And all you other races out there that's watching, truth be told, a good 35 to 42% of your essence and your personality and character has been mimicked and emulated from black people or black culture that you have experienced first, second, or third hand. Regardless how you feel about what I said, it's the truth. So what we do is what we do, and y'all want to do.
Man, this show is about to get a little bit more interesting. We already on to a hot start already.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and let's jump into it. Let's get into business as usual and rape culture. All right, we in here. All right, so I'm gonna let a little secret to each and every one of y'all what I do before the show. So once I get all the panel in before we go live, I go over what the show is going to be about and just prep them, getting ready before we go on. So we're doing that in front of y'all because Beast Jaws, he came in a little bit later because he was handling some family issues. So
and plus, I like to go in things blind. I like to go in things blind. I like the fun of not knowing what the hell I need to say.
Right. It didn't help that numerous of young black men was found hanging days apart from. Yes, that too. So NASCAR had to send a message. Yes. Mm-hmm. Tammy, you are so totally right. And so even with, and going back to my opening, to our opening statements, NASCAR they did what our government was supposed to do. Local government is supposed to do when the police is doing something wrong. You step in, you nip in the butt, done.
Exactly.
NASCAR gave the steps for an institution that, yes, white men that was sitting there going over the freaking, Virginia lines, all through the Carolinas with moonshine that, 9 times out of 10, they had Confederate flags.
Oh, no. Those were brothers.
And then you had, and then also you had the brothers, Grease Lightning.
You had more brothers out there moonshining,
yeah.
Because either they were slanging it for themselves or they were slanging for the white man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and then they created it into a sport, and now
it's a billion-dollar industry.
Right. And when NASCAR became mainstream in the 2000s, let's keep it real, even though they was on ESPN, all the other networks, but when they came into the 2000s, that's when their popularity really went up. That's when you start to change your image. Like, this Confederate flag, we might need to tone it down because we want to try to get a broader audience. I mean, that's 101. That's business 101. You got to change your image up a bit. Definitely, if you're going out your comfort zone of being in the South, and now you start to go more to the North, you start to go more to like the West, Midwest, Pacific, Northwest. You're going into different areas that got different views on the world. So that's something that NASCAR should have been done a long time. But it's a start. And they start.
Funny thing is, I just thought about it as we were talking about the act of transporting moonshine became legal before the actual product of moonshine.
Yep. Ain't that something?
Mm-hmm. Crazy, I can't speak for other states. I know in North Carolina we have a legal distillery.
I think it's still too.
Yeah, it's still not. It's legal moonshine. So anybody that's ever drunk moonshine should know it's a little bit stronger than Everclear. But it ain't. It's like moonshine light.
Yeah, I would say that. Definitely the legal moonshine. I'm like, if it's legal moonshine, it's not technically moonshine. It's just legal liquor. Anybody who watched the show Moonshiners, whoo! I'm just gonna leave it at that because I'm not gonna give another show credit, and I'm already doing this show. So, not to get too much off base, NASCAR showed what society should be doing when it comes to situations like that, and they jumped on it. They found out that it was not related to a hate crime. Now we can go on, live our happy lives, and we can get back to racing. Now, Speaking of getting back, I took issue with this about business as usual. And what I mean by business as usual is, as for the past couple like weeks before today, you've seen a lot of protests about Black Lives Matter, about we're sick and tired of getting killed by police. And you start to see a lot of change to the point of we taking down statues, what I'm applauding about. Now you got like brands like I'm happy that they're taking out.
Because your boy Dan brought up a good point at the last podcast. Shouts out to Dan Watt.
Yeah, he's watching right now.
When he was speaking on Auschwitz. And it got me thinking, we should do the same shit since they want to keep the plantations already and they want to fix them up and keep them historical and use them out for weddings and bullshit like that. How about this? You want to keep those racist monuments and you put them on those plantations and you do like the Germans did. Troubled teens and troubled youth got to go out there, do field trips. We got to acknowledge it. Like I believe what he said, like at the end of the day. And that's why you can joke around with a German. Like I went to school with a German. You can make little Nazi joke. We joked about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, it's true. They do shove that in their face to let you know this is not what the fuck you want to be. And that's old school parenting.
Yeah. But for me, I'm just happy that they just taking them all down because me being from Virginia.
I am, but like we spoke on earlier, what they're gonna do with it? You can have some racist philanthropist that's gonna snatch them up and hoard them somewhere. Won't let it get destroyed. We'll not let that happen. That's white heritage. That's Southern heritage.
And see, and I don't have no issues with that. So to a point, I'm agreeing with you and Dan. Like, yeah, if you want to keep that somewhere else, yeah. I don't want to see that shit every day. I don't want to go driving downtown and roundabout and I see Stonewall Jackson statue up there with a horse and him just looking up ahead like, yeah. And me as a black man, I'm riding by and I know that you're not what you was fighting for wasn't for me. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I'm always in the middle of the road. So I agree to an extent with what y'all saying, but I just don't want to see that every day. So seeing all these statues getting destroyed, I love it.
That's why I'm saying like you. I don't want to see the shit.
Right.
But if y'all so hell bent and hard on about keeping them, then throw their asses on the goddamn plantation. Throw them in the front of a plantation. Make that shit a white Southern Confederate heritage site. You can take all the kids up there, but we gonna force the kids to go up there and know the truth. Y'all ain't gonna sugarcoat shit.
Right.
That's the deal. You want to keep them. You want to display them. You got to keep it a band.
That's true. Which leads to this, to the point where Aunt Jemima, Uncle Ben,
I seen the picture of Aunt Jemima,
and Miss Butterworth, they're going to change the brand names, and a lot of people, a lot of white folks, are pissed about it. Which they're sitting there saying they was like I was just driving from work today, and this one girl, I forgot her freaking name, she literally said that Aunt Jemima, the woman that was portrayed on the brand, she was a model of the American dream, not knowing that she was a running joke. One, number two, she was a slave. Two, she was a free slave, but guess what? She was a slave. It was a running joke that took off to being $1 billion brand. And people do not want to do the research. Same with Uncle Ben.
Monkey bread.
Yes. What's another one? They literally had a brand called, no lie, ladies and gentlemen, I think it said Nigger House or something like that. Nigger Head or something like that.
Nigger Head Brillo pads.
Yep. Yeah, it's and then also I was sitting down, I was talking to one of my coworkers, and I'm happy that Too Smooth brought up that question, because he was like, he asked me for my opinion. He was like, "Hey, what do you think about all the monuments and all that stuff being taken down?" Like, obviously, you already know. I was excited that they were taking down Confederate statues. And he said now they're talking about taking down the Mount Rushmore. They want to do something with that, and I'm like, whoa. I was like, oh.
Now, to answer that question, when they was talking about money off the presidents, I wouldn't go that far. What I would do is, what I would suggest, as far as adding denominations. Like if you're going to switch them off, then yeah, but just add some denominations. Make a $25 bill. Fuck it. I made a $2 bill. Reissue the $2 bill. If you have any duplicate presidents on multiple currencies across the board, paper versus change, like take them off the change and put somebody else on there. Like if you got Washington's on the quarter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you got Washington on the quarter and the dollar. One of them has to get changed. Basically, it'll be easier to reissue the change. So put a new person on the quarter.
Year he. She is here. Teach.
Good evening, everyone.
We missed you.
I'm sorry. I am really becoming a senior citizen.
I know.
And I need my naps. I just woke up. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Oh my goodness. I have to set my alarm clock.
All right. All right. We here discussing back to business as usual. We talking about rebranding. Yeah.
What's the other one? This the new one. It's going on in wrestling right now too.
That's why I put rape culture, which I'm gonna get deeper on that too on the show. So this is my bell buddy Nix. He says, so will the Me Too movement recognize Biden's accusers, or will she continue to be silenced like any other accuser against Democrats? Okay. I'm gonna jump on this. Let me get on this because we kind of going back and forth and all that stuff. So here's my thing about the Me Too movement. I'm iffy about the Me Too movement.
I'll take the $4.20 bill.
I'm iffy on it because when you talk about rape culture, people just stop here at the modern day era. They stop. Rape culture have always been here since the slave ships got here.
I mean, rape culture is part of war. You attack the village, you kill the men, you plunder them of their loot, and you rape their women. That was standard practice.
Right.
For war.
Right. So when I hear like things about the accusers, you got a lot of politicians out there that's raping women as we speak right now that's not even coming out saying anything, which eventually will be coming out the woodworks.
The only issue I have with the rape culture as of now is that there is like most words is being loosely interpreted and misused and construed to fit certain agendas. Because they came out with a story about trying to pass a law called post-consent rape, which basically states that a man can go out on a date with a woman. They have an excellent time. The chemistry's there. Everything is copacetic and consensual. And for whatever reason, mid-stroke, mid-thrust, she say no and actually means it. And as everybody knows, if you do any talking in that type of moment, you kind of got to be clear. Don't take a moment for the top brain to register.
Right.
So if it doesn't register in her time, and she feels like I want to stop and doesn't actually push him off her, then that's considered post-consent rape. That could be misused for a lot of unfortunate situations, like women want to be petty. like it was with domestic violence.
Right.
If
So
you women, petty people, I would say, I won't just say women, petty individuals
right.
use things like that.
So
So
I
that's
want.
what I'm always worried about.
All right. So going back to my Bell Boy Nix's question, it shouldn't be that the Democrats is keeping them quiet, because I remember a case where Clarence Thomas, who is a justice, who's
Yeah,
who
Anita Hill.
allegedly raped her, and she even went in front of the freaking Senate, and
Oh, I've been.
yeah, and she literally got grilled the whole entire time. So I wouldn't sit there and say it was against Democrats and that this Me Too movement is a whole entire leftist thing. It's not.
No,
Everybody is getting
like
burned.
Black Lives Matter. How can I say this? History is repeating itself. Like the civil rights movement coincided with the feminist movement. Black Lives Matter historically must have a running mate. That running mate is the Me Too movement now.
Yeah. Teach. We ain't forgot about you. You still there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. I want to hear, as a woman, what is your take on my Bell Buddies question? I'm gonna put it up here so you can be able to see it. Are you able to see it?
Yes, I can see it. Well, as a woman, we, at least I can't speak for all women, but we were taught there's certain things that you do not do because you are a woman, which could lead to you being in a place of being very vulnerable. What I see in these elections, they go back and dig up the past of what I see. They dig up the past, and there's women willing to come forward years later where they didn't file a complaint or make it known at the time, but 10, 15 years, 30 years later, they're like, oh yeah, he touched me too. I really don't care for that. I've never been raped. I've never been molested. So I can't even stand in the shoes of a person who has. But I cannot see going back, half a century to say, because this person is now running for a public office, I should now speak up. I think you should speak up at the time that it occurs. Right. Been a year or two, because I know it is psychologically damaging and it takes a lot of courage. But especially when it's her word against his word. There's no evidence and different things you just can't find because of the time lapse. I think that it goes against credibility.
Yeah. And I agree with you on that one.
How could I say? I will not say that some women have not used that as an object to obtain some level of prestige or to obtain something that they couldn't normally get with just quote unquote their credentials. And I think they backtrack and they turn it around and begin to say, he raped me too, when they can't have their way. And in the case of Emmett Till, he lost his life over a half century ago because a woman claimed rape. And now, after she's old and she's making a graveside confession because she knows that any day in a year at this point in time, she's at the end of her life. So she making deathbed, what I call deathbed confessions that, oh no, He really didn't whistle at me. He really didn't do anything. And but he is dead. He lost his life. And there's so many individuals, young rising stars that lose their life being locked up in jail on a false accusation. So for me as a female, my female, I just call them all my parents, my grandmother, my aunts, cousins. They always told us, kick, scream, scratch, or holler. Don't get in the elevator. If there's only one person in there, do not get in that elevator. Do not go in a place where you're going to be secluded. Do not be in a situation that you're going to find yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
So not all women are taught that. And so you have these problems. Men are sexually aggressive. Either you sexually accept it or you reject it, one or the other. But I've seen times where, they accept it, they go back and forth with the flirting, and that sends the signal to the man, oh, it's on. And then, she comes to her senses, oh no, I shouldn't be doing this. And at that point, it's too late. And I believe, like my grandparents and mothers all have said, you kick, scratch, scream, and holler in that situation at the time that it happens.
Yeah, see, and which bring me to Bill Cosby. Now, I know a lot of people will get me when I say this. I believe that Bill Cosby was done wrong in this. I believe so.
I believe so too.
I agree.
Who was that director that was at the same time was going through the same thing, but nobody didn't say anything about him? Who was that?
Roman Polanski.
No. It was a director, a big time movie director.
Weingart.
Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, Weinstein. You talking about Weinstein?
Harvey Weinstein, and Keith. I saw that comment. Yes, you're right. If Biden had any issues with women at that time, she should have said something to him, and he was vice president.
That would disqualify him and
from
Obama.
running for president. Yeah, to running for president, and it will make
so
Obama.
Many people didn't want. Yeah. No, exactly. So many people didn't want it. It should have been brought up then.
Yeah. So going back to the Bill Cosby thing, so the same thing was happening with Harvey Weinstein and then also R. Kelly. I'm gonna push that to the side real quick. But going back to Bill Cosby, these women, they even said, even during the hearings, even during the freaking proceedings, that the women's testimonies didn't match up. That all that they said at first changed up during the time. And when they gave that process, well, actually, the first hearing, they actually said that he was innocent or mistrial, something like that. It was a mistrial, and then they charged him for the same thing again. They had a trial on the same thing, and I believe that's double jeopardy. If somebody can correct me, you can't be charged with the same thing.
If you've been cleared already of a crime, you can't be charged with that same crime.
Right, because I believe he was clear in the first hearing. People can go and correct me if I'm wrong, but then they charge him for the same thing. I'm like, oh, whoa, this is double jeopardy. And I said, this time I know they're going to get him, and they did. And just seeing all those women leave the freaking courtroom, they in tears. I'm like, it took y'all that long to just start bawling your eyes out?
Well, see, Bill Cosby is just Bill Cosby is just a lesson to black people from the white man about knowing your place.
Yeah. And people
always remember, nigga, no matter how much money you got, you still get cursed.
But see, people don't believe that it's all based upon when he wanted to buy NBC. He had the investors lined up, he had his money lined up, and
he's been doing that.
Huh?
I said he's been doing it. He's been trying to do that since the 90s.
Yeah. So when he was about to buy NBC, all these crazy things started to happen. His son mysteriously got killed when he was on the side of the road fixing the tire. He mysteriously got shot. And then you had these accusations of all these women that he had dealings with. And I think
you forgot the daughter.
Yeah, and the daughter, yeah, you're right. And the daughter too.
Had a fake daughter pop up.
Mm-hmm. And then what was that other one where that one model, she was I forgot her name. I know her last name was Johnson, but she was like a famous model back in the day. She went on The View and she literally told her story, and you saw everybody on The View sitting there believing her, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's happening. Then come to find out her story was a lie.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about the white model.
Well, I was about to get on her too, Paul.
The first supermodel, Janice.
Janice, yeah,
yeah, Janice Dickinson, I think.
Yeah, and knowing how she is and her personality, for her to sit there and say that she held that in for the longest period of time just is beyond me, because she lost her show during the time. I think her show was another top model show. There you go, Beverly Johnson. That's what she was. Yeah. Come to find out, her story was wrong, and you ain't heard nothing about her since. Jazz Dickinson just came on because her show got canceled, and she's sitting there saying that, oh yeah, he raped me and all that stuff. And come to find out,
I'm gonna be truthful with you.
Yeah,
go ahead, teach.
I would say I would agree with you wholeheartedly. In the case of Bill Cosby, that was that example. None of the witnesses were credible, and the main thing that I saw in Bill Cosby case that nobody really brought up is that in the 70s, that was the drug and sex culture, that hippie culture. Do the drugs and free love with whoever you want. And who does the white woman want? She wants the black man. She wants the black man. And so she gets him because because she has been the forbidden fruit. And, the most desired fruit. But what the black man fails to remember or to even know is that she is the easiest fruit to have of all the female fruit. She's the easiest to have. And so to get her, he feels elevated in his mind, but in reality, he has degraded himself. Even with this whole coronavirus, Bill Cosby was not even allowed to come out of jail, to where I believe you brought up Weinstein earlier. He was allowed because of the coronavirus and so many others. So there's no mercy being shown to him. And I just think that it was just a situation where he just absolutely got railroaded.
Yeah,
absolutely railroaded, and with no mercy.
Yeah, and that's what he was doing.
Yeah, and then they just never factor in that was the drug culture. That's what you did. You had the kind of drugs that they liked, and you gave it to them, and you all did what you did. That's what they did in the 70s. And
it's the new tactic that they're doing. Instead of killing the prominent black man, turning him into a martyr, now you destroy his legacy.
And that's the deal. That's the roll call. That's what they wanted to do to this man from Jump Street. And for them to sit there and give Harvey Weinstein, I'm shocked that they gave him the charge that they did. At first, I thought they were going to give him like 10 years. And then
too many white women said something. Let's keep it a band. Too many white women said something.
And then when Bill Cosby, when he was going through his ordeal, I'm about to pull up the picture right now of the lead female that was the one that was really the top accuser.
Who talking about Howard Stern's little sister?
Yeah, hold on. Let me see if I can get a picture up. But you
got to find the picture. You got to find the picture from the 70s. Because that's one of them women that you got to have a whole picture from. Like, you used to mess with her? Nah, man, when I mess with her, she look like this.
I don't even think back in the day she looked that fine, but it's not about looks. I'm just gonna show
It's about that drug culture. It's about that drug culture. It's about that drug
It's
culture.
about availability. It's
Yeah,
about
Drug culture
availability.
and free love.
Availability and a pulse.
that's yeah. But I just don't. She was the lead for all of this. I'm about to post it up now. Hopefully y'all can see it.
That's her.
That is her. This is the woman that she was.
Judy Stone.
And they said, that her story was not aligning. And for me, I'm like, that is something that you do not want to like.
That's one of the ones. That's one of the ones that every man has that you pray to God never come to light. That's the ones you pray to God you take to the grave.
Mm-hmm. But I mean,
like you hope she don't find out you died till after you've been buried, like at least a good year or two after you've been buried. That's when you hope she find out you died so she can pay her respect. Look, you don't want her coming nowhere near the family. You don't want nobody knowing that she knew you in any light.
One thing I gotta say is, and whatever would probably will agree with me, this is a Booger Wolf come to life.
That's last call. That is the definition of last call for alcohol.
I guarantee you, Bill Cosby was thinking to himself, out of all people to accuse me, she's the first one to come.
This one? I don't even remember this one.
It should have been Beverly Johnson. I can at least stand that, but this one right here, I mean,
that just hurt the pride. That just like they did that on purpose. They did that to hurt him as a man.
Yes, and that's why. And see, that's the symbolism of it. Just like Bill Cosby, of all the females.
That was a dick kick right there. That was a straight dick kick.
Yeah, of all the women that are accusing you, she's the lead one. She's the first one that said something right there. Could have just made you think like, okay, yeah, like somebody is playing the joke on me. But going into logistics of his case, if y'all didn't know, news today that he has been granted an appeal. So, and the Supreme Court, not the local court, we talk about the Supreme Court literally said that all the women that have accused them, their freaking statements wasn't consistent. That it kept changing. So they said, we're going to grant it to him. And I'm happy for Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are saying, and Tish, you can jump anytime you want to, and also the people that's watching the show, hopefully we got some other women watching the show, that just because a woman said that this happens to me, you're innocent until you're proven guilty.
Uh-huh.
And it seems like for certain people, let's be for real, not for us, where that applies. But I'm just not going to take your word for it until I get the truth. Not the facts, but the truth. People want to say there's three sides to a story. It's her side, his side, and the truth. Truth don't take no sides. I want to dispel, I did this on a show a long time ago, I'm going to do it now. Truth don't have a side, ladies and gentlemen. The truth stands by itself. This person got their facts. This person got their facts. But the truth never changed. And that's always been me. When I'm hearing two sides of a story, somebody's telling the truth and somebody's feeding me bullshit. And unfortunately, in this story here for Bill Cosby, it was fed with nothing but bullshit. If this happened back in the day, did Bill Cosby rape these women and all that stuff? I am not condoning the actions that he did. But one thing I'm not going to condone is that all of a sudden these women have like this revelation sitting there saying, oh, snap, the Me Too movement. See, it happened to me too. Now I'm going to jump in. Now I'm going to say something. I'm going to say something now. And not to mention the statute, what they call it, where you have a limitation. Yeah, the limitation is already up. Too late.
There's
Sorry.
also one thing, something else you got to take into fact. A lot of his accusers were individuals that he actually helped. Everyone knows that Bill Cosby is a huge philanthropist. And if he sees potential in you, he's gonna look out.
Right.
So a lot of these women that came up and said that he raped me were actual extras and actresses that he put on not just his shows, but helped them to get on the other little shows and actually make whatever little career that they did have, as well as send some of them to school.
Right. And teach you about to add it on something too. So
you gonna take money from your rapist?
Yes. I just want to say that there are legitimate rape cases. I don't want anybody to walk away from this forum thinking that I'm taking a position that there aren't legitimate cases. There are absolutely legitimate cases. But in the 100%. Cases where you can smell foul, it's foul. And I believe quite a few individuals, both black and white, have suffered at the hands of false accusers. In the case of the situation with Kobe Bryant, I believe that was a mutual exchange. That was one of the no-nos. You don't go to any man's room, definitely not in the wee hours of the morning, and don't think it's for sex. That's a no-no. If I go to a man's room, or we were taught in my household, we were taught if you go to a man's room at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it's your intent to have sex.
Yeah,
it's not even his intent; it's your intent because he's in his room. And if you go to his room at 2 or 3 in the morning, that is your intent.
Right. You're not going up in there to read him a bedtime story. That's not happening. That's not you trying to get ahead on the next morning festivities on this meet we gotta go to. Hell no. Or even if they're leaving out the bedroom at 2 or 3 in the morning, you know they won't do no aerobics. These are things that people have to think and use common sense.
That's booty call hours. Let's just keep it banned.
Right.
From 1 to 5 is booty call hours. If you see any type of live movement in and out of doors, your first assumption is something sexual. Right. Either was about to go down or just taking place.
And funny thing that y'all both mentioned that is that you don't need a freaking degree. You can use a thing called simple common sense and critical thinking to figure out what is going on. What is going on? I mean,
did he just walk out her door? What time is it? 4:27.
And for the fact, that people was bringing that up on Kobe Bryant, and he's not even here to defend himself, and then not to mention it's a case that's been closed. People brought that up
and closed for over 10 years.
Right.
So from a legal standpoint, they can't even bring it up.
They can't even. But you got people like Gayle King and freaking Oprah Winfrey, which leads us back to the Bill Cosby thing, who kept pushing this thing. They kept pushing it.
Because they the good ones. They the house niggas.
No. They the bed wenches. Let's
be nice. They're the chambermaids.
Okay, I can dig that. But they
and in the case of Oprah Winfrey, she still has never made a public statement regarding Weinstein.
No,
and that was the cry from the Black community. Okay, you were all over Bill Cosby's case, and in the case of Weinstein, you wanted to see the silver lining behind the cloud or something. But now that he's been convicted, you still don't have anything to say.
No,
because that's where your money was coming from. Everybody know you don't fuck with your money.
But this
money was coming from Weinstein. She wasn't gonna speak on that until she knew one way or the other she was gonna continue to get money from that man.
But see, this is what Oprah Winfrey. This is the last thing I heard her say on a national network. Definitely about Gayle King when she did that interview when she brought up the Kobe Bryant about his case. She's hurting. She's really hurting. She's crying. And I'm like, you're the same one that literally did a documentary about Michael Jackson, sat down and talked to those guys that sit there and say that first when all this was happening to Michael Jackson, that say he didn't do anything, and then later down the road, oh, he did something, and you sat there and you had an interview with them. Then you sit there and you probably was talking to Gayle King. Gayle King tried to be like Oprah, like since forever, influenced her to do an interview with freaking R. Kelly, and you saw what happened there. Then sit there and say these things to Kobe Bryant's best friend, Leslie. What's her freaking name? God dang, I forgot her name.
Lisa Leslie.
Yeah, Lisa Leslie. And sit there, you had the damn audacity to ask that question, and then go back, getting your ass drugged for it, and saying, "Oh, CBS, they did the editing. I didn't do anything." Last time I checked, when an interviewer, when he interviews or he or she interviews anybody, they the ones that cut out what should be in there and what should not.
No, last time I checked, as far as technology goes, we have not progressed to the point to where we could digitally enhance a conversation or create a conversation. Like everything that's coming out of my mouth right now and the way my mouth is moving, that's organic. We ain't got that. This ain't digital. We ain't there yet.
And so for her to sit there and trying to blame it on CBS, I guarantee CBS, like, and they still ran the story, so that told you who's boss.
Half of what?
Yeah. I didn't like how they did it. You saw that she took the hiatus for a while, and then hey, come Oprah out of nowhere. Oh, she's hurting. She's hurting real bad. You think I give a damn? Harvey Weinstein was still running around free while these women were still out there saying he did this to me, he did that to me, he did this to me, he did that to me.
The only credit and link that Oprah got to the black community is this famous line here. You told Harpo to be me. If it wasn't for The Color Purple, niggas wouldn't give a fuck about you.
No. And then also
if you ain't got makeup on, if you ain't got makeup on, white folks don't give a fuck about you. Because y'all heard about what happened when she tried that shit in England. She went looking like one of us, rough, and walked up there thinking, I'm Oprah, everybody know my face. And that British folk was like, you simple muggle blood monkey, get away from my door.
Yeah, because she tried to buy a purse.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
She had to come back dolled up. It was like, oh shit, you Oprah. My bad. Come in, darling. Come in.
Mm-hmm. And she put that whole entire store on blast and put that whole entire staff on blast. Had the whole corporation apologizing to Oprah, to her.
Because she felt like a nigga for once in her life.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't felt like a nigga since she started doing the show. Mm-hmm. And she forgot what it was to be a nigga.
But also, to go back to your point about people remember her for her role in The Color Purple, they also give her credit being the first black billionaire of this modern day era. But my issue with people like Oprah Winfrey, she goes wherever the wind blows. She could give a damn about her people. She could give a damn about them. I mean, everybody supported her.
That's always been evident. Like I'm surprised it took folk this long. Like I grew up subconsciously knowing that. Mm-hmm. I always know that she never really had black folk in her crowds. She never really had black folk on there unless it needed a black voice.
Right. But I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna blame this on T. She been quiet in this show. I think she's letting us be the leads. But I think she did this. Y'all remember when she was doing the talk? I forgot what she was doing a seminar for, and she tripped and she fallen on her face. I really think. I think she used her like little powers to trip her ass. I think
a lot of people say that because I think that was behind the Michael Jackson bio.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was behind that, and they said basically he tripped her for doing that about face. And the thing is that I don't know what goes through their mind. I don't know how it goes through their mind, but I just can't go with popular culture. I have to go with my gut instinct. I
Yeah.
am a diehard Michael Jackson fan. And being that fan may have me behind rose colored glasses. But coming from, um, just being in that older generation, Michael Jackson was what, 6, 7 years older than me. And his parents, older than my parents, closer in age to my grandparents. Knowing that Southern culture, there were times when you hear about we were raised in a one room shack. That one room shack had 16, 18 people in it, which may have had 2 or 3 beds, and all them 18 people slept in all them same beds. That is something that he experienced in his lifetime. And no doubt, with all the children that the Jackson family had, I don't know how many bedrooms they had when they were in Indiana or whatever have you, but no doubt it was a situation where at least 2 or 3 people were sleeping in the bed. When I was young, back in my 20s, I went to my in-laws, relatives, and um they had limited sleeping space, and my auntie wanted to take a nap, and she's like, okay, here, honey, you can get on the other side of this bed. And it was no issue to sleep in beds with your relatives. It's no issue to sleep 4, 5, 6, 7 deep. And the
Yep.
difference really between black culture and white culture is, um, when you're asleep, it's not necessarily okay, it's sex time.
Yeah.
It's that you
It's
feeling
sleep.
time.
I was asleep.
You were asleep. And the thing is, I know this may be a very unpopular statement, but when you sleep with a relative, it is comforting. When you sleep with 4 or 5 deep, even though they may be kicking you and everything, it's a level of comfort and a level of bonding that reassures that we're in this together. It's not necessarily a situation of sex.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
And
Now, other races, when they go
It's
to
a
bed,
situation of necessity.
yes. So other races, when they go to bed, it's like, okay, it's on and popping. I'm gonna make sure I sleep next to my sister, um, um, Billie Jean
yeah.
tonight.
So,
So
yeah, oh,
so people have different modes and minds concerning a home atmosphere. And I said all that to say this: Michael Jackson took in these sick and dying kids, okay? And they knew at some point in time, because of their illness, that they're not going to be here anymore. So for me, I didn't see a sexual perversion because the child had, terminal cancer and he had a sleepover at Michael's house. I didn't see a sexual perversion because I know how it plays out in my very own family. Now in 2020, you can't do that because society has raised this voice and we have modified our behavior. Right now, everybody has their own bed because economically the nation can afford it. The families can afford it. But guarantee you go back to people that was born in the 40s or born in the 30s, they didn't have the luxury of having multiple bedrooms and everybody had their own bed and everybody had their own bathroom. No, they had an outhouse, maybe 2 beds, and like I said, 16 to 18 people lived in them.
teach. I was born in the '80s, and I grew up doing that.
Okay,
Same here. Same
so
here.
It's like you said, that's part of our culture. You know,
Yeah.
right, and then it came to a point where you separated the boys from the girls. But when they're little, like 6 and under, I can
Yeah.
even attest to, with my cousins, male cousins, 6 and under, we all took baths together. But
Same here.
after 6, you
yeah, got
separated
stop.
the sexes
Yeah.
because things
Your
can,
hormones and testosterone
Not,
start.
right.
not
But
even that. It's
before,
just the brain is more curious. It's like they're gonna start paying attention to more things.
yeah,
Like,
but
hey, what's
before 6,
that?
you did everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and I don't think my family is weird. I didn't suffer any maltreatment or any, any incest or anything like that didn't go along. That didn't go on in our household. Somebody else's next door around the corner, it's a different story. But in our household, it did not happen.
Right.
And
So
Yeah.
So I was not so inclined. Oh, he had him sleeping in his bed. I don't see that as odd and strange. That was our culture. And like I said, I went to my in-laws. They were in the state of Virginia, a state that's known for inbreeding.
No, that's
Okay.
West Virginia. That's West Virginia. That's
now, West Virginia is legal.
West Virginia is known for that.
Well, okay, other one, but
They just legal.
okay, but my point is, my point is, leaving my house, going to another state to people I don't know, nothing happened. I didn't have a sense of, oh, she wants me to sleep in the bed next to her. No, it was no crazy thought like that.
Most likely, your thought was, "I hope I don't fart in the middle of the night."
But people now have different agendas.
Yeah.
Right. Or I hope I'm not stinking.
I hope I don't snore.
After you take your bath,
Like, that's all I should be thinking
Right.
about when I'm sleeping.
And hope they don't either.
Exactly. Same one. Oh, and if they do, I hope I'm asleep before they are.
Right. So I guess I think we just nipped
Right.
I think we just nipped rape culture in the butt. I don't want to say we crushed it, because I was going to save that to the end of the part. Then my bellboy Nix, he wanted to ask that question, and we just tore that thing up. So yeah, I'm happy. Yeah, go ahead, Teach.
But I wanted to make a comment on the international scene. There is a rising movement, against rape against little girls. It's been reported that because of this COVID-19, in certain countries, they have seen an increase in fathers raping their daughters. And most times they're not even they're preteens, not even teenagers. And there was two young girls recently. One was 5 years old. I guess he raped her so bad that she died. And another young lady, she was a Muslim girl, and she was also 5. She died as a result of rape. Now these are heinous crimes because the argument that they're bringing up, it doesn't matter what a woman wears, because with Muslim women, they're fully clothed with the hijab and everything, but yet this 5-year-old girl was still raped. And that's something that we can cry out against.
Well,
that's something. There's a special place in hell.
I don't get the psychology.
There's a special place in hell for that man, and if I'm destined to go there myself, I hope it's my job to torture him for all eternity. I will make that concession.
And see, and this is why we got you on the show, Teach. This is why we got you on the show, Beast Johnson. And this is why I'm happy to have a show that we can report and we can say things about this, and then also informing our audience. And also, audience, this is for y'all.
I'm sorry.
So don't think that with new information that y'all can't let us know about it. We will do our due diligence and research it, and we'll report it. Like I said, we're not the CNNs, we're not the Fox News, we're not the OAN, we're not the Breitbart, we're definitely not the MSNBCs. You're going to get it raw, straight no chaser on this show. Yeah. So tell your friends, tell your family members about it. Welcome to our world, and we mean that, because I didn't even know anything about that. So
I didn't, and it filled me with a lot of bloodlust right now. So I'm like, I'm literally like, I'm not even joking. I'm like, I'm really angry about hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something like I'm saying, pushing the Bill Cosby situation aside. I do not condone rape. I believe everybody who's watching this show, my panel, do not condone rape. What we're saying is definitely in these cases that are coming up right now, that if you've been raped, now I wish I had the number for y'all to, if y'all felt like y'all been raped, call, say something. Now I understand people say it takes time for them to, you know, gather things up to realize what happened to them. I get that. But don't wait too damn long. And then when these things come out, please do not, and I'm talking to the people, or as they call it, the court of public opinion. Don't fully just be engaged into agreeing with them. Wait until all the facts, not even the facts, wait till the truth comes out. Wherever how they're going to find it. Through tests of like proof that it did happen. Also emails, facts, phone calls, whatever. Just because a woman, even a man, comes out and say that I got raped, don't fully believe them. Find the truth, get the facts, which will lead to the truth, and don't make those facts the truth neither. Don't sit there and say, well, there was a text message between Bill Cosby and Janice right there. That proves right there they have a relationship. No.
That just proves they know they got each other number.
Right. Innocent until proven guilty.
I want to take a step further. After hearing what T just said, honesty.
Yes.
If you honestly were raped, shout it to the heavens. Let everybody know, because it needs to be justified and it needs to be rectified.
Right.
You need your justice.
Right.
If you are not sure, be honest. Because the false allegations pile up and they overshadow true tragedies, like the stories of that little 5-year-old. Shit like that ain't supposed to happen. But since it happened, folk need to know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the stuff you need to be talking about.
Right.
If you're going to have a rape culture, that's the definition of why there's a rape culture. That's the shit you need to stop.
Right. And then not to mention, rape culture been here since the first slave have came here. And that's not only to black women, but also to black men that was done in front of their families. Look up
barebacking.
Yep. Look up butt breaking. Look it up. It will blow your mind. But Teach, you had something to add?
Yes, I wanted to say that in some cultures, in some cultures, rape is an acceptable form. I know some of the evangelicals have attitudes such like, oh, if you get raped, you should feel honored because he finds you attractive enough. Just enjoy it. So with mentalities like that, there is no wonder we have a rape culture, because we have ministers, quote unquote, of the gospel, quote unquote, that believes that if you get raped, it's supposed to be some high honor instead of the disgusting act that it is. Yes. And so we have to be aware of the mentalities, and these mentalities have to be reconstructed. And then also around the world in different places, men may feel that rape is how could I put it? Rape it's an honorable thing. And so when you're dealing with these type of situations, it's hard to change the culture. And I'll give you specifically, it's called a toski, where say a man rapes his niece and she gets pregnant. Well, to atone for the man's sins, that child, especially if it's a girl, she has to go to the priest and be raised by the priest until she becomes an adult. But what comes with that is Now, this is his penance. This is his penance. They take the child away from the niece that was raped and gives the child to the priest who will be raped once she comes of age and till she get 18. So it's like compounded rape. And the penalty is the child is taken away from the mother. But that's the man's penalty. And I keep scratching my head. How is the man penalized if
That ain't made no sense to me, and I'm a man.
right?
Doesn't.
There's no
How am I
penalty.
being, how am I being punished?
Exactly. No punishment.
Now that's the equivalent of new age parents that like truly furnish their children's home, their children's rooms. Like I've seen some kids with actual apartments for bedrooms, kitchen, shower, and everything. But they get mad and be like, "You need to go to your room." I need to go to my room. You need to go to your room right now, goddammit. I'm tired of it. All right, I'm gonna go to my room. I'm gonna go to my room with my 45-inch flat screen plasma TV and my Wi-Fi, my PES, and my hibachi grill with my little college fridge and my little window where I go out on the roof and smoke weed at. Yeah, I'm going to my room. Yeah, no problem.
Like that's something. Like that's something. But we got some more fish to fry, which going back to the Black Lives Matter of the aftermath. We already talked about on Monday, but I want to get deeper into it. But first, we got a network that's coming up soon, so check it out.
It is.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is the WET Network coming soon to you in the middle of July. So the next topic the next topic within the topic that we want to talk about is I don't know where to start with this one because I'm feeling like we're going back to, Black Lives Matter made a ruckus all through this month. Let's keep it 100. They caused a ruckus, shook up a lot of things. We was actually talking about it a little bit in the show, how statues been taken away. They also changing Uncle Ben's logo. They're about to change that. Aunt Jemima, Miss Butterworth, they're about to change all of that. But I'm just seeing that people just getting lax, and it looks like it's just going back to business as usual. Is it just me? I want people to come at me if it's just me that's just seeing this, or y'all actually seeing progress and change. And that's the question that I'll leave to the floor.
You want to go teach? Because I feel the conspiracy theorists in me are riding up on this one.
I think that.
Go ahead, Cheech.
Yeah.
I think that we're watching the systematic racism fall in different ways simultaneously. I was talking about this earlier today. These changes are being made. They're taking down the statues. That's a big way. The island is looking into changing its name because of the history of the name and its ties to the slave trade. So for states to even consider changing their name, that is a big movement. So we're watching, it may seem small, like the labels on a bottle of syrup or a box of rice or whatever have you. We're witnessing a paradigm shift. And as I've taught in any class, when these are the seeds of change. But the full change won't take place for the next 25 to 50 years. What we're talking about is one or two generations. So this generation is planting the seeds of change, and that seed of change has to go through just like a tree. It has to germinate, then it breaks through the ground, and then it grows and grows, and then branches started coming out. So we're witnessing the shift
Yeah.
in the power structure and what is acceptable, what is not. And I've said on other shows that it's the African American that truly pushes that envelope of diversity. We're pushing the envelope of diversity, as well as we are saying racism cannot be a viable part of our community. So for the next generation coming up, hopefully there will be far less racism, and they will operate with a dysfunctional acts of racism where they will not be no longer systemic. So this is our hope, to look to the future to see all of these uh, landmarks crumbling. And once it crumbles, then we have the opportunity to reconstruct America, the mind of America, the people of America, into the way that can move us forward as a diverse nation.
Now, Chief, I got a question for you, and you're gonna know why I'm
I'm
getting
listening.
at. And Beast Johnson, I know
Oh,
you gonna get what I'm trying to say too. So you remember that deal you was talking about the last time we had that show? When we had a show that you was on, did you think
About the contract.
about the contract? You think that contract is about to be up, or they
I
about to
believe that the contract is expired. The contract is expired, and all of its components are being exposed. You have the evangelicals that say, "Oh, it was God that put Trump in the White House." And at first, I would say, "Oh no, the devil put him there." But then again, I said, "Oh yes, oh, yes, God put him there that he may be fully exposed." He is the epitome of white supremacy. He is what white supremacy is. He is the definition of it. So therefore, if this was a shift and power move from quote unquote God, God put him there to expose him, so nobody will have any doubt in their mind who and what white supremacy is and how it operates. So, yes, I would agree with them that God put them there, but it's for the purpose that when
purpose
it
of their
falls, no
downfall.
one will, yeah, no, everybody will witness it, and nobody would doubt. No one would have the room to doubt it. And
Trump is the
even,
God-given, was it God-given pride before the fall?
right, and even all of his little minions, and how these white women and white men are arbitrarily calling the police um, on black people, using calling the police as a weapon against black people, um, is is very apparent. When you see these situations, I believe that situation happened in the park where the black man asked the lady to put her dog on a leash, and she took
Mhm.
offense to that. And she said, she weaponized calling the police, saying, "Hey, there's a black man attacking me." All right. So it's just like, in a way, it's just like the civil rights movement, when Martin Luther King said, in order for us to be successful, we have to clearly show who the enemy is. And that is, we have to fully expose who is attacking us. It has to be a clear attack, or else they'll say, "Oh, you were asking for it, you were brawling with him in the street." But if they show the police beating you with the batons, turning the water hoses on you, sicking the dogs on you, it was clearly shown to the world who the abusers were. And that is the same thing that if we want to bring this and make it a spiritual thing, that is what's happening in the United States. Those people that have deep rooted racist tendencies or attitudes, they're feeling free up under Donald Trump to act out everything they go and dream on in their bed. When they lay down to go to sleep, it's like, ooh, I hate black people. I hate this. For whatever reason that they hate us, or whoever harbors these thoughts, they feel free to express it up under Trump. And the reason why I say that is because if you lived in the 60s or 50s, 60s, or 70s, they were free to express their racism. But after 1964, when Lyndon Johnson signed the 1964 Civil Rights Act, they had to put a lid on their racism. They had to try to act within the law. And that took a lot of bridling. So they have been stifled all of this time trying to champion we are a post-racial society. But now up under Trump, forget being post-racial. I can be who I am, and I can do what I want to do to other races with no consequence. So they are happy and excited, those that think like that and participate in that type of behavior. So on a spiritual level, yes, he has to rise to the top. So all eyes are on him, not just on a local sense, but for the whole entire world. Because going back to the contract that somebody signed, it affected the whole entire world. That Satan, Lucifer, the fallen star, the god of this world, signed the contract, and that is the force behind enforcing it. Because when you look at the power that was used in the case of the Africans, now African Americans and those spread throughout the diaspora, if you look at the power, you remember I told you it was the Dom Diversis. It was a papal bull, a law that was written by the Catholic Church by Nicholas V, and it was just a piece of paper. He wrote on a piece of paper, but that piece of paper bound millions of Africans. Their life was forever changed. And that contract stayed in effect until Abraham Lincoln wrote a second piece of paper called the Emancipation Proclamation. These are deals with the devil. So Abraham Lincoln, he canceled that original contract for the people in the United States, that they are no longer bound to be enslaved perpetually. And if you know the history of the Civil War, they fought vehemently to keep those Africans enslaved. And even the Texas slave owners, they kept their slaves an additional 2 years because they refused to follow the law. They refused. And that's why we have the Juneteenth. They refuse to let their captives go.
Ain't that something? But yeah, Teach, which also lead to more businesses. Like, I'm going to use Ben & Jerry's, for example. Ben & Jerry's, ever since Black Lives Matter came out, they've been on the Black Lives Matter. I think they even came up with ice creams with the Black Lives Matter. But then you have other companies that follow suit now. Because I believe majority of these companies, other than what I just mentioned, Ben & Jerry's, wasn't on the Black Lives Matter, other than Nike when Kaepernick took the knee. Now you got businesses coming that are leaving freaking Fox News. You got people leaving here on Facebook. Facebook is actually losing the advertisement because Black Lives Matter is sitting there saying, like, look, they've been pushing out fake news, even though I hate saying fake news, but they've been pushing out news.
Fake news.
And not to mention, you remember those bots during the 2016 presidential election? They was pushing all that out, and Black Lives Matter is like, well, we wasn't doing that. The Russians were doing that the whole entire time, and now they're like, you know what? Get rid of your advertisers. Get rid of your advertisers. Now those same advertisers are trying to donate to it. You already got Starbucks. Now they have insensitive training. Wendy's, who are also supporting, the administration. Well, I'm just gonna leave that.
Chick-fil-A is another one. Chick-fil-A canceled the ban before. They told them, we don't care how you feel either way. If you're an employee at Chick-fil-A, you can feel how you want to feel. You can say what you want to say. Just don't attach none of that to us.
Right. And then you got organizations that don't even allow their employees to even wear face masks that put "I can't breathe" or "Black Lives Matter." But besides all that, these corporations now all of a sudden like, hey, we here for the Black Lives Matter movement, and they did the blackout and all that stuff. So I'm gonna leave the floor open for that. Do y'all think that they've seen the tide turn, or are they just trying to keep the money coming from the black community because that's where they get their bulk of their money from?
They're trying to be warmongers, basically. They're trying to appease both sides. The only victor in a war is the person selling the weapons.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I think Jeezy. He actually did a Facebook show, not Facebook show, but he actually did a not Facebook, Instagram post where he said that you see how all these corporations, they wasn't with us before, but now all of a sudden they with us. We need to start our own businesses or support businesses that are doing the same things or selling the same products as they are.
Well, it's mainly because you're seeing a lot of sincerity and consistency amongst us right now. And that's really what's scaring them. When we say we're going to do something, we're actually doing it. And we're holding on to it, not just a passive fad. And when you think of like the boycotts, like for example, in my neck of the woods, we're boycotting the Bojangles due to a racist.
For the guy checking out what's it, the mask? What's it?
No, it was a young lady. It was a young black lady. She was in the drive-through. She served 3 white customers, male, and they ordered food, but then demanded free drink. And when she said no, I had to charge you. And I myself have worked in fast food. I've gone through the exact same situation, so I know exactly what she went through. I've had customers demand the silliest things, and when you tell them in a civil manner, no, I can't do that, I have to charge you, then they want to berate you and threaten you and get aggressive with you.
Yeah.
And the way the management handled it was totally inappropriate, and because there was racism involved in it, and it was completely mishandled.
Yeah, because they
and once we no, they she just I think if anything she quit right now, but I haven't heard anything about her being fired.
Oh, okay.
But they pretty much said that particular location is a ghost town now. No, nobody's supporting that business within my city.
I don't blame them.
We said for the first 30 days at least, and then after that, just to show them we serious, and after that, it's going statewide.
Teach, what's your input on the question?
Well, I think that it's twofold. One, we have to appear to be compliant to not be seen as a racist organization. It's about image.
Mm-hmm.
And 2, it's about money, because that's the bottom line. Where are our profits going? Can we set aside the way we really feel for this money? because if we lose this customer base, we're not going to get the kind of money that we're looking for. So it's twofold. I think that there's a very, 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 very small percentage who may honestly, heartfelt make a change to be cognizant. Um, because I'm not a scientist, but from the history that I have read, it is racism is just like the DNA code for blue eyes, the DNA code for blonde hair. It's in their DNA code. So just like a leopard can't change its stripes, neither can a racist get it out of their system, but they can modify. And we witnessed that. And I just actually, made that statement. We witnessed that after the 1964 Civil Rights Act, people reeled in their racism. They said, okay, I'm going to try to be this, um, the way the society say that we should act. But I know my mama was a staunch racist. My daddy was a staunch racist. Everybody in my family, they're just pro-white and we're intolerant of other people. But because I am the generation that's carrying the seed, or the generation that's part of that germination of being this post-racial society, I will set aside my views and I will try to function as a person that's not crippled by racism.
Right. So,
So,
I'm sorry, Chief, go ahead.
excuse me. So, um, like I said, it'll be a very small minority of people that would truly make that effort. And others will make the effort for the sake of appearance and for the sake of the almighty dollar.
And
I,
that,
I would take it a step further. And also for the sake of the situation, because I remember during my little moment of incarceration, I happened to befriend a white individual over, just playing cards and shooting the shit, and it came to my knowledge that he was a Aryan brother, and actually was one involved in a race riot during the '60s at the same prison. So once that knowledge came to me, next time we met up and talked, I brought the subject up. I heard about what went down with you in the '60s. Any truth to that? And we spoke on it, and he admitted that yes, he's still a racist, but he doesn't have that racist energy in him. He's become more specific. He's able. He's had enough time to think and really have life show him that it's not worth investing in. So now he can have a conversation and actual friendship with someone of another color and actually share intellectual and intimate conversations with someone, despite the fact that we're two different shades. And that's what I took from my interaction. Though I was happy that he was honest with me and saying, I'm still, I still got my racist ways and everything. And I asked him, well, do I have anything to worry about? Do I need to kind of avoid doing anything like that? He was like, nah. Like, you've been civil to me this whole time, as well as you. I don't see no reason in discontinuing it. You got your racist ways. I'll be honest, hell, I got my racist ways. As long as you ain't gonna act on them, I won't act on mine. And I feel that that's the corporate mindset that they're taking now. Like, while this is the situation we're in now, okay, you don't have to act on your racist ways. You don't have to act on that prejudice. That's ingrained within us. As long as we look different, sound different, and appear different to each other, that prejudice and racism will always be within us because of that insecure stigma. They look different than me, so that's going to breed anything from envy to fear.
Just thinking about. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was say that because it doesn't mean we have to accept it. We have to act upon it.
Right.
And these corporations are now like truly seeing that we don't have to appear racist. No, you can acknowledge that shit is fucked up and shit is bad without wholeheartedly saying I'm personally against it. It's one thing to acknowledge, and that's all we're really asking. Acknowledge it so we can do what we need to do to move on.
Right.
You don't personally have to accept that this is the case. You don't have to personally accept anything on it. You just have to acknowledge it because it's so evident.
Right.
It's like the sky being blue or the grass being green.
Right.
You cannot sit here and say that it is nothing else but what it is.
Mm-hmm. I feel you on that one. So y'all just gave me an idea that I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start introducing black businesses. Um, if y'all know any black businesses that wants to get advertised on the show, and I'm not looking for no money, but I think these businesses that everybody should know about. That if you sick and tired going to a Walmart, I know there are grocery stores out there that need to be advertised. So I'm gonna try to work something out so I can start putting that on the show. Because Teach, I did. Got one, and we got Teach. I saw one for an automaker for from Ghana. I'm actually was reading up on that. I didn't get done because I was reading it before I came back home from work. So I need to continue reading it. So we're gonna start putting out some black businesses out there because they deserve to get recognized. But, ladies and gentlemen, we have hit the final part of the show. You know what it is. It is our final thought. Man, we always have a great show here. We always have great dialogue and great conversations. But, ladies and gentlemen, just know we get to solutions. We just don't pick through a problem. We get to solutions. Do we rant sometimes? Yes. But I promise you, we will get to the solution. Beast Johnson, you got the floor.
All right. I'm gonna continue with what I said earlier. Calm down, sir. Sorry. My thought is on honesty. No matter the situations and experiences that we go through in life, whether good, bad, traumatic, or desensitizing, we have to be honest within ourselves if we expect to live past it, if we expect to learn from it. It's only being honest within yourself that you can truly see the issue and see your part on it and see what you can do to alleviate and solve. And if we all share that mind frame and all share that consciousness, then we can truly get to the nitty gritty and get the brass tacks and fix all the bullshit that's going on in this nation. A basic reset is what is needed. It's in the Constitution. It was founded for us as the people. And it is stated in the Constitution that if the government gets out of line and if shit goes left for the nation, we as the nation have the right to rise up and reset shit. So let's be honest with each other and let's reset a lot of this bullshit so it don't happen no more. Final thought.
I agree with Beach Johnson on the keyword honesty. And as I was listening to him, I was trying to formulate my thought. And my thought runs along the same lines that if we're honest, one, to ourselves, you have to be honest with yourself. Because if you can't be honest with yourself, any honesty you try to give to someone else is false, because it starts at home first. Starts with within your own heart, within your own mind. And if we be as a people collectively are honest with ourselves, I think they need to take stock. Why do we have white supremacy in the first place? Why did those first Europeans leave Europe? They left for 4 reasons. And we talked about this before. One, because they were looking at their mortality, because they had low birth rates, they were starving to death, sickness and disease was taking them. And the fourth tenet is that they were warmongers. So they have advanced since that time, and they need to reevaluate and say, hey, we are no longer looking at our mortality. We're no longer looking at extinction of us as a race, even though we may still have lower birth rates than other races. We have learned how to survive. Therefore, we don't have to be selfish with the modes of survival, which translates to racism. I'm going to make sure I eat first. I don't care about how the other races may be able to eat. So it's a time for them to take a total restock of how they were able to overcome their life challenges. And the United States has a propensity to be a great nation that embraces diversity. So if they would soften their heart and be honest and understand that they have successfully gotten to a place that they have met and exceeded all of their challenges, and they can let their guard down because other people of the world are not operating out of fear. They're not operating out of lack. They're not operating out of seeing their mortality. So they can relax because these are self-imposed ills. And if they look around, yes, the African American did help us settle. The Native American was already here. The Asian Americans came and they helped us build the railroad. And all the other Americans, there's a book by Ronald Takaki called Iron Cages. And he explores the various races and the capacity they served as they came in bulk to the United States. And it's an eye opener how each race had a specific contribution to the building of these United States of America. If these people would just take stock and just go over the history and really realize they could be honest with themselves, that fear of what they were experiencing is over, and the contract that somebody signed is over, and that's it.
Teach. Always spitting hot fire, and I always gotta follow up after you. God dang it. All right, here I am. Ladies and gentlemen, change is here. In the words of Sam Cooke, change is gonna come. Oh, yes, it will. That change that he's been talking about is finally here. Only if he was alive to see it. When Marvin Gaye said what was going on, I think he would tear up to see what's been going on. But there's a lot of people that confuse change as in something wrong. Conspiracy theories going all over the place of, oh my gosh, Black Lives Matter is for the left. Or they sit there saying they're forgetting about God, and the country is all a mess. We got gays and we got all of them out here doing whatever, and they taking away my Confederate flag and all that stuff. Just because something has been the same for a long periods of time does not make it right. Doesn't mean that you was doing it right the whole entire time neither. There's a whole new generation that's coming in, and they're saying enough's enough. And all of these things, and I'm mainly talking to the people that is hating this change, underlying it is racism, and you don't even realize it. Yes, you may have 10 black friends, or maybe you dated black women before, you know. That's great. Or you had a black boyfriend, you know, it's all good and great and dandy. I mean, more power to you. But if you do not understand what they have to go through on a daily basis as a black man, a black woman, but in the same breath, say that, hey, I'm not a racist because I associate myself with them, you are part of the problem. Now, I'm not saying with this change that is happening that you have to instantly buy into it, because I know it's going to take people time to understand what is going on in their world and what's going on in their surrounding, and that their world is changing. Some people will get it, but then it's going to take time people to get it. And then you got people who just will never get it, and those are ones you just got to kick rocks on. But I am kind of talking about them. Things that we know from 20 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago, it's all about to change. And I'm happy to see that change. And for the people trying to understand, I'm not going to fault you. I'm not even going to get mad at you. At least you're trying. But for the oblivious ones, don't be part of the problem. Don't be like the other ones that just think change is just the devil's work, but they still will buy Nike. They still will go to a football game cheering on the Dallas Cowboys. You know I'm a Cowboys fan, and not really see the problems with the NFL where there's more black players on the field than in the freaking owners' booths, or as referees, or people in power. Those are the ones that says don't mix sports with politics. Sports bring us all together. Stop making political. Don't be like those ones. Because right now, they're losing their power. All the things that they grew up on that they knew is changing before their eyes, and they cannot even help themselves, which exposing them for who they are. In the words of the military, don't be that guy. Don't be that gal. Don't be them. Just shut up. Educate yourself. I'm not saying every black person you see, you got to go and give them a hug and sit there and be like, I'm sorry for what my ancestors did and all that stuff. Don't do that. That make yourself you look more guilty. But one thing you can do, read up on your history. Sit down like historians. I consider Chiefs a historian. Sit down with a professor of African arts and actually listen to the stories. Or like this, we got a thing called Google. Look it up. Don't sit there and just get taken away about all these police doing all the good things with everybody. Going to the neighborhoods and doing basketball. That's just the good cops. Look at majority of what the cops are doing to people that look like me, that look like Teach. That's what you should be looking at. Look at the history of slavery. Actually look into it. Don't just look at, oh yeah, there were black people out in the fields picking cotton, corn, and all that stuff. No, look deeper into it. Look up Mandingo. Look up buck breaking, bed witching, the house Negro, the field Negro. Actually look deep in depth into slavery, because slavery just wasn't just getting black folks coming off the ships and getting sold and just working for free. Nah, the rabbit hole goes deeper than that. So as you, as a white person that's watching this show right now, The truth may hurt, but guess what? At least you are getting your dose of the truth. Not just reality, but the truth. So with that being said, change is here. Change is going to happen. And for the oblivious ones, it's time for you to shut up and listen. And ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for us. Any alibis before we head on out?
This is always my alibi. Can't blame me for some shit if I was on the podcast live.
Tish, you got anything?
Just that I want the best self and the best for all people. And I hope that we all strive to be our best selves.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And one more thing, one quick alibi. I want to thank everybody who tune into this show every time we're live, even when we're late. You can blame that on me.
Love you.
But also, thank y'all for watching and tuning in. We got over, last video is about to get up to 200. Our highest viewing has been 300. That means that we got people that are actually watching this show, that's actually listening to what we have to say. When we tell y'all to let everybody know, let everybody know. If you're sick and tired of hearing the mainstream about how they can tell our stories, tune in here. We're the only one, we're the only show that actually interact with the audience and also tell it from our point of view. We give it to you straight, no chaser. Now, I know there's other shows that's actually doing this kind of like us on Facebook, but they're never going to get as deep in depth as we are. I put everything on that. So, like I said, we get like the highest we got on the show ever was 10. I want to see that number go up even more next time. Let your friends, let your family members know. And I mainly want to reach out not only to people that look like me, but people that look differently than me, that need to tune into the show and step into our world and get this dose of not reality, but truth. Let them know. Tell them. Anything y'all like to add?
If anyone is in need of search of publishing or help with songwriting or just music business acclimate and legalese, search for Savage Sound Publishing under Beast Johnson.
And don't forget the Wet Network going to be coming out in the middle of July. We will let y'all know. Teach, you have anything to add?
Well, since everybody's giving a plug, I teach American history that starts July the 6th. It's a 5-week course, very intensive, but if you would like to enroll, I would love to have you as a student.
Well, there y'all go. All that I got to say is watch out for the Wet Network. But other than that, we got to go. We got lives to live. And me, I need to relax. Oh, my gosh. I don't even want to get into it. But other than that, as for my panel and my host, Beast Johnson, Anita Job, a.k.a. Cheats, and then me, your host, Donnell Alamonte Morris. Thank y'all for tuning in. It's been real. Good night, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day is for y'all. But thank y'all for tuning in. But first,
y'all be safe out there. And everybody, be safe.
And first of all, you know I got to spin this commercial again while we heading on out.
One more time.
Everybody, catch y'all later. Goodbye.
All right, good night.